I am who I am because I value my past. The memories of yesterday can never be changed, but they give me a reason to live again. There is a reason I am here today, but there is no reason you lost your lives. You were called abusive names, deprived of rights to be humans, slayed because of who you were born. I am lighting a candle as the sign of resilience. I'm paying a tribute. You left a legacy, and I'm a fruit from the love you sowed. Let's say never again to genocide. There should be no war. There should be no genocide. Anyway, let's say never again to genocide. Let's say never again to genocide. I was young, I still needed you, but you were taken away from me too soon. If I had one wish, it would be seeing you again. Today we're strong men and women, even though you are not here to see. We're carrying on to make you feel proud out there, watching down on us. I am lighting a candle as the sign of resilience. I'm paying a tribute. You left a legacy, and I'm a fruit from the love you sowed. Let's say never again to genocide. There should be no war. There should be no genocide. Anyway, let's say never again to genocide. Let's say never again to genocide. I am a witness that if you and I come together as one, we can make sure genocide never happens again. History should be told and passed on to further generations. Let's all stand up and all sing out, never again to genocide. Let's say never again to genocide. There should be no war. There should be no genocide. Anyway, let's say never again to genocide. Let's say never again to genocide. We are here as one nation. We say never again. We unite as human race. We say never again to genocide. Never again. again, never again. To genocide. Never again, never again, never again. We brought you flowers. 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 We brought you
Good evening, fellow Ambazonians, ladies and gentlemen. You're welcome to this very important broadcast, Ambazonia This Week, with our Party King. We've missed you. I'm sure last week we had a town hall. We didn't have the opportunity to come and process the week with you, with the barristers, and to look at the stories. But it was an interesting weekend last weekend. We had the president of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia taking questions from Ambazonians in a town hall that was highly energized. A huge crowd was there. Lots of Ambazonians were eager to listen to the president, and there's some clarity of government position on certain issues, which is some of the things we'll be reflecting on. We're going to have a very intensive conversation, which we've decided to tone it down today for a reason. I just want to announce to you, for those of you who probably should be looking at my screen right now, you would see that the president of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia, President Sako, will respond to French ambassador, and the president will also be unveiling La République du Cameroon's manipulative tactics, their insights on very topical issues that the president of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia is aware. He's also going to be updating the world on the progress that the government has made on issues that couldn't have been discussed during the town hall. So we're going to officially announce this program right after this show. We'll put the flyer out. Just right under the flyer, we'll do that on Twitter, on ABC on Twitter. We hope that will also be done on the president's page on Twitter or X. And we want you to go there and probably share your emotions, because that will help us to craft the questions that we'll be asking the president on Wednesday. That's Wednesday, the 5th of March, 3 days to the so-called International Women's Day. I also like you to understand that the ANSC has pre-notified the people of the Southern Cameroons that there will be a lockdown on that Saturday. Interestingly, that same Saturday, there will be a launch of the federal government draft, first of its kind in 2025. And the Savannah Zone will be hosting the federal government to launch this exercise. Ambazonians are excited. We can see on the different platforms or forums, the publicity has already begun. We'll have flyers of the draft out on Wednesday once the president would have addressed the nation. So it's a kind of address. And after that address, the president will take some questions. And these questions definitely will be very important. I'm not sure if the president want to take live calls. So I'm telling you to proactively, all of those who are watching this program right now, proactively go under the post. He might be watching it or might be looking at it. Go under it, put your questions. We will be able to read some of the questions. The questions will help us to formulate questions that we would ask the president. So much we're going to talk about. So we're going to talk about the manipulation of French Cameroon. And there's a question Dr. Patience during their show asked yesterday. Do the so-called Anglophones in the Cameroon, do they have any place within that setup? Part of that question is what we'll be answering this evening. We, sometime last year, came very hard on Pastor Ambe Ndwala, the man from Bafut. And there were those who said we were doing conspiracy theories. In fact, he knew already his agenda for the Cameroons. Ambe knew it and prepared the ground for it. Pastor Ambe knew that he wants to run for the presidency. Because he knows that we, the people of Southern Cameroons, we're going to say that he's a blackleg. He starts emotionally blackmailing us. I told you people last year that Pastor Ambe was simply just a member of the fraud. He started by telling us that it is the 9 provinces or regions against Bamenda, against the Northwest region. The divide and conquer strategy. So Ambe is being used by the Franco-Cameroon mafia to stay the Franco-Cameroon hegemony, not just in the Cameroons, but in Ambazonia. His participation in that election, he knows he's not going to win. He knows that. He knows what Abel Zonga said, that it is effectively true. Even as we speak, no Southern Cameroonian born can be trusted enough to be crowned in the throne of a Tudi. They know. And the question is, why do they continue participating in the so-called selection, not election, the charade? We'll answer that question. And that answer will come right after this break. And right after the break, we'll have Tabitha Ako. She has some flash news. And she probably has some questions for Barrister Fru. When Barrister Fru will be done, he will meet me in Studio 2 for us to talk on the electioneering. Prepare the ground for the draft coming next Saturday. And prepare the ground for the president's interview on Wednesday. It's going to be an interview like never ever before. And it's not one of those interviews you want to miss out for anything in the whole wide world. So I'm calling on all those who are watching us this evening and on our social media platforms on YouTube and on Facebook. You want to share and to share and to share and to invite somebody to tell them that we're live and we're ready to go. So if Studio 2 is connected, maybe you want to come on right now. I'll be here with you.
Is this the moment that forces Zelenskyy to fight for survival on his own terms? A trajectory meeting between President Donald Trump and Volodymyr Zelenskyy at the U.S. Oval Office erupts into a public confrontation, exposing deep division over the war with Russia. This was intended to set a precedent for a ceasefire deal. Sadly, the sudden turn of events signals Trump's shift away and further keeping Ukraine susceptible to Putin as tensions keep boiling. This and many more will be explored in today's Flash News. Good evening and welcome. I am Tabitha Ako. Let's begin. Tonight, the long-anticipated meeting between U.S. President Donald Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy was meant to reset relations and secure continued American support in Ukraine's war against Russia. Instead, it became an unprecedented diplomatic disaster, exposing deep cracks in the West's strategy and leaving Kyiv more vulnerable than ever. Was this a deliberate shift in U.S. policy, or the Trump's unpredictability just deal Ukraine its biggest setback yet? From the moment Zelenskyy walked into the Oval Office, the atmosphere was tensed. He arrived hoping to reinforce Ukraine's strategic importance and to finalize a long-discussed minerals deal that could have given U.S. companies access to Ukraine's vast rare earth resources. Instead, he found himself under attack. Vice President J.D. Vance, one of the administration's most vocal proponents of diplomacy with Russia, pressed Zelenskyy on the need to negotiate with Putin. Zelensky's arms crossed, fired back. What kind of diplomacy are you talking about? J.D., a rare moment of defiance against an American leader. It was an embarrassing scene right there. Trump, the deal maker, was quick to intervene. I have determined that President Zelenskyy is not ready for peace if America is involved. He later wrote on social media, he can come back when he is ready for peace. It was a stunning rebuke when that not only dismissed Ukraine's position, but also signaled to Russia that Washington's support for Kyiv was no longer unconditional. Well, as the exchange escalated, Trump accused Zelenskyy of being ungrateful for U.S. aid. While Zelenskyy warned against making concessions to a leader like Putin, the Ukrainian president even challenged Trump directly, urging him to make no compromises with a killer. The pushback did not sit well with the White House. Beyond the political spectacle, the real stakes of the meeting were economic. Zelenskyy had hoped to finalize a minerals deal that would have granted American companies preferential access to Ukraine's vast reserves of lithium, cobalt, and rare earth metals resources, critical for global technology and defense industries. Kyiv saw it as a way to secure long-term U.S. commitment to Ukraine's future. But then, after the heated confrontation, the deal was left unsigned. Trump, who has long expressed frustration with U.S. spending on Ukraine, saw no reason to move forward. Zelenskyy would either make a deal or fight it out, which would not be pretty fine. Let's take a look.
But during 2014 till 2022, the situation the same. The people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire.
We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on
position
this
to
question.
dictate that.
That's exactly what
Remember
you're
this.
doing.
You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very
you will
good.
Feel influence.
We're going to feel very
I'm
good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country, that's backed you far more than a lot of people said they should have. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning. You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of us.
Mr. President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
you haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet.
You haven't been alone.
In this cabinet.
We gave you, through this stupid president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military
president.
equipment, and
voted
your men are brave, but they had to use our military.
What about
If you didn't have our military equipment,
you invited
if
me
you
to
didn't have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days. This is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this. I tell you.
President Trump and Zelenskyy right there at the Oval Office. Well, this altercation is one that has never happened before. It means the both parties' friction will still depend on them to resolve it. However, the implications of this failure are massive. Without U.S. financial backing, Ukraine faces the risks of dwindling Western support at a time when Russia continues to make battlefield gains. Could Trump's rejection of the minerals deal be the moment the U.S. begins pulling back from Ukraine entirely? The immediate response from European leaders was one of shock and urgency. Within hours of the meeting, German Chancellor candidate Friedrich Merz declared, "We must never confuse the aggressor with the victim in this terrible war." French President Emmanuel Macron and NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte both personally called Zelenskyy, while Britain prepared to host an emergency summit to discuss security guarantees for Ukraine. Well, the broader question, however, is whether Europe can afford to fill the vacuum left by a disengaging United States. While European leaders have pledged support for Kyiv, their economies are struggling under the weight of military aid, refugee crisis, and energy disruptions. Without Washington's leadership, can Europe sustain Ukraine's war effort on its own? Perhaps the most telling moment came when Trump insisted that Putin wants to make a deal. It was a clear signal that his administration is leaning toward a negotiated settlement, one that could see Ukraine forced to cede territory in exchange for an end to the war. For Zelenskyy, this is a nightmare scenario, having spent the last 3 years rallying global support to defend Ukraine's sovereignty. He now faces an ally who sees negotiations, not military victory, as the path forward. Trump's own words made this clear. Once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position, but you're not acting at all thankful. Even more striking was Trump's dismissal of NATO's role in the conflict. NATO you can forget about, he said, suggesting that the military's alliance support for Ukraine was irrelevant to U.S. decision-making. This aligns with his long-standing skepticism of NATO and raises a chilling question. If Trump no longer sees NATO as an important player in Ukraine, does this mean he's prepared to sideline European allies in negotiations with Putin? Well, this meeting was more than just a diplomatic embarrassment for Zelenskyy. It was a turning point in the war that exposed the growing rift between Washington and Kyiv, and then sent a clear message that Moscow that Ukraine may soon have to fight on its own. Well, let's see how Zelenskyy intends to dwell the rights around this. Without U.S. backing, can Ukraine hold its ground against Russia's relentless military pressure? Will European leaders be able to step in and fill the gap left by a disengaging United States? And most critically, is this the moment Putin realizes that time is on his side, that the West unity is cracking, and that Ukraine may soon be forced to accept a deal on his own terms? Probably the pressure President Trump is trying to play out. For now, these questions remain unanswered. But one thing is certain. After this White House meeting, Ukraine's fight for survival just became even more harder. And the fear for what's next is mounting. Yet, President Trump still holds his stance. Here's what he has to say right after the meeting with Zelenskyy while departing the White House. Let's watch.
We're looking for peace. We're not looking for somebody that's going to sign up a strong power and then not make peace because they feel emboldened, and that's what I saw happening. I'm looking for peace. We're not looking to go into a 10-year war and play games. We want peace. And it was just my impression that if we do that, if we sign up, he's looking for something that I'm not looking for. He's looking to go on and fight, fight, fight. We're looking to end the death. 2,000 people died this week, soldiers, more than that, but 2,000 approximately people died this week. Young Ukrainians and Russians. And somebody would say, why do you care about Ukraine and Russian soldiers? I care about them. I care about everybody.
It's a lot of friction right there, and President Zelenskyy keeps pushing to be understood by the U.S. While their support is needed, the Ukrainian people are seeking not just a ceasefire deal, but a lasting end to the war and assurance of security. Well, moving over to another development on issues of the protests erupting in Greece. 2 years after Greece's deadliest train crash killed 57 people, the country is once again in crisis. Hundreds of thousands of protesters flooded the streets on Friday, demanding justice for the victims and accountability from the government. Striking workers shut down air travel, sea transport, and public services in a nationwide outcry over the failure to improve railway safety. At the heart of the protest is growing frustration that despite promises of reform, an inquiry has confirmed that the same safety gaps that led to the disaster remain. With no convictions, an unfinished judicial investigation, and a government that refuses to launch a parliamentary inquiry, public distrust is at an all-time high. From Athens to Thessalonica, protesters carried burners reading "Government of Murderers and I Have No Oxygen," a chilling reference to the final words of one of the victims. The anger is not just about the crash, but about years of perceived government negligence and corruption. This wasn't an accident, it was murder, said Christos Main, a 57-year-old musician at the Athens rally. Another protester, Evie, added, "We are here to mourn the dead, but also because the government has tried to cover things up." Let's watch. Hundreds of thousands of people right there demonstrated in Greece over the 2-year anniversary of the country's deadliest train crash. These protesters are set at the government after an inquiry into the crash found that the safety issues that caused the crash still exist. But the government sees it differently. Prime Minister Kyriakos Mitsotakis, who was re-elected months after the disaster, insists that the judiciary, not parliament, should handle the investigation. In a Facebook post, he admitted to fatal human errors and chronic state inadequacy, but promised that his administration would modernize the rail network. While the tragedy has become one of the most politically damaging events in recent Greek history, opposition parties have accused the government of a cover-up, and next week Parliament will debate whether to launch an official inquiry into political responsibility. Meanwhile, a recent polls poll found that 82% of Greeks say the train crash is one of the most important issues in the country today. 66% are dissatisfied with how the investigations have been handled. The government's refusal to acknowledge political responsibility has fueled skepticism, especially in the country still scared by the 2009 to 2018 debt crisis, where public services were slashed and trust in institutions was shattered. The tragedy has also become a major ideological battleground, with two very different narratives emerging. On one side, it's argued that government negligence and deep-rooted corruption are to blame. They say the crash was not just a technical failure, but a symptom of a system that prioritizes profit and political survival over public safety. From cost-cutting in infrastructure to the lack of railway modernization, they believe that the government's handling of the disaster reflects a broader pattern of disregard for ordinary citizens. Well, on the other side, defenders of the administration argue that blaming the government is purely political theater. They point out that Greece's railway issues stretch back decades and that the crash was ultimately caused by human error, something no government could entirely prevent. Instead of turning the tragedy into a political weapon, they say the focus should be on solutions rather than blame. I think so too. With the second anniversary of the crash reigniting national fury, Greece is now at a crossroads. Parliament's upcoming debate on an inquiry could either help restore public trust or deepen the divide. Will the government finally take responsibility, or will public anger continue to grow? And as Greek demand justice for the 57 lives lost, will this be the moment that forces true accountability, or just another tragic chapter in the country's long history of political failures? Well, it is certain. The protests are not just about a train crash, they are about a nation's fight for justice, transparency, and the right to feel safe in its own country. That's that right there. We're moving over to a recent report. The Democratic Republic of Congo is once again on the brink of chaos after a deadly explosion at a rally in the eastern city of Bukavu killed 13 people and wounded nearly 100 others. But as the region mourns the dead and struggles to treat the wounded, an even more dangerous battle is unfolding, one of blame, propaganda, and escalating international pressure. Congo's government and the Rwanda-backed M23 rebels are trading accusations over who is responsible for the attack. While Congolese officials claim the explosion was an intentional attack by M23 and Rwanda forces, the rebels insist that it was a failed assassination attempt orchestrated by Congo's military and its regional allies. With both sides pointing fingers, the question remains, is this just another deadly incident in a long-running war, or the spark that ignites a wider regional conflict? For those following the crisis, the responses from different political camps are strikingly different. On one side, there is a clear attempt to frame Rwanda as the aggressor accused of supporting M23 in its brutal takeover of eastern Congo and now allegedly targeting civilians. Well, Congo's army released a strong statement blaming the Rwanda army and its process for firing rockets and grenades into a crowd of civilians. So pathetic. The Interior Ministry went further, accusing Rwanda of waging an undeclared war against Congo. Meanwhile, supporters of Rwanda and M23 paint a different picture, one where Congo is using regional allies like Burundi to crush M23 under the guise of counter-terrorism. Konyo Nanga, the leader of a rebel alliance that includes M23, claimed that the grenades used there are identical to those carried by Burundi's army. Burundi, which supports Congo in its fight against M23, denies the allegations, saying its soldiers were not present in Bukavu at the time. Well, let's get to see what eyewitnesses are saying. Two eyewitnesses who spoke to Reuters suggested a third scenario, that a failed grenade attack aimed at rebel leaders accidentally exploded in the crowd. The grenade exploded too soon, one witness stated, killing the attacker in the process. With this conflicting account, The truth is difficult to verify, but what is clear is that each side is using the tragedy to justify its own actions. Congo calling for tougher sanctions against Rwanda, and M23 rallying support for its continued fight. The explosion comes at a time of heightened tensions in eastern Congo, where M23 has seized control of two major cities, Goma and Bukavu, while displacing nearly 500,000 people in the process. Well, the United Nations report that 60,000 refugees have fled to Burundi in just the past 2 weeks, with thousands more pouring into neighboring countries. Sadly, this growing crisis has forced the international community to take sides. The United States sanctioned a top Rwandan minister, while Britain threatened to cut aid and impose diplomatic penalties on Kigali unless Rwandan troops withdrew from Congo. But Rwanda has stood firm, claiming its forces are in Congo only for self-defense, arguing that the Congolese military has allied with Hutu rebels responsible for the 1994 Rwanda genocide. As the accusations escalate, diplomatic efforts to stop the war are failing. A meeting between Southern and East African nations meant to discuss a ceasefire was abruptly postponed, raising fears that the window for peace may be closing. Some regional leaders, including Burundi's president, still believe a negotiated solution is possible, but others warn that Congo and Rwanda are too entrenched in their positions for diplomacy to work. As the fighting intensifies, the world is being forced to respond. But are sanctions and diplomatic threats enough? Some argue that the West's slow response has allowed the conflict to spiral out of control, with international bodies like the United Nations failing to prevent M23's territorial gains. Others believe that increased pressure could finally force Rwanda to withdraw, cutting off M23 supply lines and weakening the rebel movement. But then, Patrick Muyaya, Congo's communications minister, is not convinced sanctions will be effective. The sanctions, they have started, but they are not enough. The proof is that the Rwanda army is still there, he said. If sanctions are not enough, what options remain? Some American leaders are discussing the possibility of deploying regional troops to secure areas under M23 control. But would this lead to further escalation, drawing more countries into the conflict? As the violence continues and the international response remains uncertain, without a decisive resolution, Eastern Congo risks becoming the next major battleground in Africa's growing list of unresolved conflicts. But right there, the question in my mind is, why has President Trump not said anything concerning the recent wars in Africa? But then we just hope that in the coming months we'll get to have positive feedbacks from him. Tonight, moving over to reports from the home front. We have an alarming report from Babatu village in southern Cameroon, where colonial military personnel are being accused of sexual violence against the Ambazonian community in the area. Several cases have been reported already, most of which are teenagers, schoolgirls, and even aged women. So pathetic. Residents of Babatu village have reported incidents of sexual violence allegedly linked to colonial military personnel in the area. A local human rights advocate has raised alarms about these troubling events. In his text, the advocate urges families, especially women, to stay alert and report any cases of sexual violence to village leaders. For a long time, sexual abuse has been a serious issue, especially in the war-torn zones where colonial military camps are located. Meanwhile, similar problems are reported to have occurred in places like Eastern Democratic Republic, DRC, South Sudan, and Liberia, while LRC's incompetent officials turn a blind eye to this report as usual. The community leaders are asking the youth in Babatu village to be watchful and to report any incidents to local organizations. Well, with me tonight giving us some perspectives and thoughts on these issues is my guest, Barrister Fro. Well, thank you, dearly, for joining us tonight on the news tonight. We've been having recurrent reports on sexual violence. What do you think about this, about the La République du Cameroon, and why are women, Ambazonian schoolgirls, victims of this mishap?
Thank you, Tabitha. Thank you for inviting me once more this weekend, Saturday, on Ambazonia this week. Listen, Tabitha, the Rome Statute have rape and sexual abuse as a war crime. The Southern Cameroon is in its totality is at war with La République du Cameroon. And La République du Cameroon soldiers keep committing heinous crimes against our women and girls. The case of Baba too is very pathetic because they occupy the building of late Mr. Frundi of the SDF. And they are using that as a staging point to go after our people, go after our girls, our women, raping them and forcing them and doing all kinds of sexual abuse on our families. This is intolerable, and we, the lawyers of the Southern Cameroon Ambazonia, we are taking note and to include that on the war crimes of La République du Cameroon. Sexual abuse or rape during war is a war crime inscribed by and in the laws that were promulgated under the Rome Statute that created the ICC. Therefore, any soldier, I don't care where he's coming from, even from our ASA, any soldier involved in war crimes like rape and sexual abuse on our women risk standing trial. And his bosses, those who are commanding them, will stand along with them and tell the world how come they are raping women and children and raping women, raping girl children all over the place during a war. Taking advantage of the vulnerable during war, it's unacceptable. That is all I can say about it. We are taking great note of what is happening in Baba too.
It's indeed a pathetic situation right there. Thank you so much for lending your voice to this issue. We'll be coming right back to this report, but then let's talk about this report right here. We are conscious of the fact that he has failed to meet the aspirations of Cameroonians. Coupled with his desire to die in power, Dictator Paul Biya registers foreign nationals on electoral lists to secure votes. Dictator Paul Biya has realized that Cameroonians no longer need him and his collaborators. He has resorted to the unorthodox way of registering foreign nationals to vote for him. The president of the opposition political party, Cameroon Renaissance Movement leader Maurice Kamto, made the bold revelation against the colonial ruling Cameroon People's Democratic Movement Party. While Dictator Paul Biya is recruiting foreign nationals to vote for him in this year's presidential elections. Though such an election is banned in Ambazonia, this report is situated within the context of portraying how malicious Paul Biya has been for the past 42 years at the helm of the Cameroons. Kamto made the accusations in a statement shared on his Facebook page on Thursday, February 27th. He says that the colonial Cameroon People's Democratic Movement Party elites are illegally issuing foreign nationals' identification cards with the complicity of the Colonial Directorate General for National Security. With these colonial ID cards, they help the foreigners who under normal circumstances cannot vote to obtain voter cards. The elites, he adds, then keep these voter cards waiting for election day in October 2025. Kamto says this is happening under the watch of the elections management organ Electoral, which has previously accused of masterminding electoral fraud given to him that they are under the payroll of Paul Biya. Well, it is cruel that Africans who enjoy the fraternal hospitality of Cameroonians should agree to play this criminal game at a time when our people are mobilizing in fierce adversity to give themselves a future through the forthcoming presidential elections, said Kamto. Whether consciously or unconsciously driven by the dream of perpetual power over Cameroon, the current regime is granting Cameroonian nationality to foreigners who have not applied for it or renounced their nationality of origin, while preventing millions of Cameroonians in the diaspora from taking part in the elections. He implored foreign diplomats in the Cameroons to caution their citizens against the practice. The colonial octogenarian colonial administrators are doing everything possible to retain 92-year-old dictator Paul Biya in power, because they know that going by competence, they will all be flushed out if Paul Biya is gone. Well, this sounds tense. Let me get your perspective and thoughts to this, Barrister Fro. How do you think this could set better precedents for the future?
Let me say this, and let me say it quite clearly. There will be no election in Ambazonia. If La Republic is thinking that they will come and force our people to vote, they should better think twice, because there will be no election. Just like the previous elections, there have been no elections in the southern Cameroon, Ambazonia, and no political party is allowed to do any kind of activity in all of Ambazonia, the northern zone and the southern zone. Having said that, when two dogs are fighting, I couldn't care less what happens in La Republic of Cameroon. Nobody should go and separate them. Biya is a crooked old man of 93 years old. Kamtu is another crooked fellow who doesn't even know what he wants. So what is our business? Let them fight. Let them fight, and let's see how they will end up. But we are determined to protect the territory of the southern Cameroon from any fallout coming from that dogfight in La Republic of Cameroon. How can an old man who can hardly walk, who rose in a wheelchair, claim to be a candidate in 2025? That is their business. It does not concern the southern Cameroon, Ambazonia, and we will make it that way. There will be no election. The ASA is ready, is well equipped, and is ready to ensure that no electioneering, no campaigning, no voting, no anything takes place in the southern Cameroon, Ambazonia, from Victoria to Nkambe. And we mean business, and we will enforce it. Anybody who wants to do La Republic politics should cross the Congo and go and do the La Republic electioneering on the other side, the La Republic of Cameroon territory. We are not part of that country, and we will never be part. We have gone and gone forever, and let them take note that there will be no election in the southern Cameroon, Ambazonia, and that we will make sure that there is no fallout, no cross-border fallout between the southern Cameroon and the southern Cameroon, Ambazonia, because the boundaries are well defined. The Mongo right up to Matasem and right up to Nkambe and the Sabungare and so on is well defined, and that is the boundary between La Republic of Cameroon and the southern Cameroons. There will be no election in the southern Cameroon. Let Kamtu play his dirty game with his man, with his old pa, the 92, 93-year-old man who thinks that he will live forever. Let them not, they can play any kind of dirty game over there, but it will not cross over to the southern Cameroon, Ambazonia.
A strategic announcement.
That is my take. That is my take, and that is where it is. Paul Biya can play all the dirty game he wants. He can go and get all the foreigners, get even some Fulanis from Nigeria to register and vote for him. That is, they should not do it on the territory of the southern Cameroon. because we will open fire.
Such an explosive
Thank you very much.
reaction right there, Barrister Fru. Thank you so much for joining us tonight on the show, and thank you for the good works that you do. We'll be moving right over the show to our news director, Mr. Paddy.
That was an amazing coverage there, Tabitha. I was watching you and I didn't even want it to stop. The coverage from what's happening around the world into what is happening in the Cameroons was simply amazing. I think you're phenomenal in what you do, and I'm not sure anyone does it better than you just did it this evening. We're impressed. Ambazonians are impressed with the coverage you would have provided this evening. And I'd like you to tell Barrister Fru to join me in Studio 1, I'm sorry. We have some scores to settle. So much for us to talk about, but we have to summarize it. I had a whole lineup this evening, which I think it will not be proper for us to talk too much because the President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia will be addressing some of these issues. There's an audio the President sent out last year. We'll have that audio be circulated again after his interview on Wednesday. So while Barrister Fru will be connecting, the man you're seeing on the screen, inflated Dr. Ambe, he now calls himself Dr. Ambe. He's a pastor in Douala. About 2 years ago, this man decided to start sabotaging the Ambazonian liberation movement. He was talking with water in his mouth. He contradicted himself a couple of times. This man at one point articulated the plight of the people of the Southern Cameroons with so much accuracy. And I told people he was not preaching the gospel. There's a difference between a motivational speaker and a person talking from God's Spirit. So what is French Cameroon doing all the time? French Cameroon uses a so-called Anglophone. I preferably just call them Anglophones, like the Bulldogs call them, to divide and to conquer us. An attempt to divide us and an attempt to conquer us. This has happened over and over again. And Pastor Ambe, like we said on Ambazonia this week last year, that he was planted. There were those who thought that we were just trying to sabotage. He went on there in my Media Prime and was sabotaging the movement, doing propaganda for Cameroon, telling the world that Ambazonia has lost the fight and Cameroon has won. Ambe, we knew, was positioning himself as something. We knew that Ambe was under the paycheck of John Gute. John Gute did a good job recruiting him, did an excellent job trying to reach out to many, including myself in the diaspora. John Gute has been doing a very good job. he is willing to pay anybody any money that is ready to stand against Ambazonia. And today you and myself understand why Ambe sabotaged the struggle. Like Pastor Fru just said there, he's going to come to amplify more of it. Whatever is happening there really is none of our business. But to some extent, we need to educate the people at the home front so that they are not mistaken. Because a lot of them, especially Christians that are not sound, might be deceived to think that Ambe has something to offer. He's just joined the bandwagon of the fraudsters of the Franco-Cameroon control over the Cameroons. Ambe positioned himself by attempting to try to throw us under the bus. We don't have enough time to play some of those things. But as I try to get Barrister Fru to join this second segment of the conversation, that's not going to be long, I promise you, because there's so much the president will be talking to us on Wednesday, and also to set the stage for the draft come next Saturday. I want to refresh the minds of some Anglophiles, because smart sounding Cameroonians know well, and they know very well, and that's why they're passionate to ensure the total freedom of Southern Cameroons. They know that the people of Southern Cameroons do not have a place in that triangle. That triangle was strategically conceived by Charles de Gaulle to enslave, to capture, or recolonize, annihilate, and own everything that belongs to the people of the Southern Cameroons. And the Bulus, the Burmese, the people that carry French Cameroon in the core of their spirit, they know that the people of Southern Cameroons are their priceless possession. They want to beat our lawyers and our teachers when we want to dare to talk. Who are you to talk? Et puis vous allez faire quoi? They cannot fathom for 1 second that a Southern Cameroonian can lead that country. They said it. I'm going to play a video here shortly. Some of you would have watched it. It has resurfaced. The video of a political figure in Southern Cameroon said it very clearly. These guys did not learn the examples of Frundi. They do not seem to learn any lesson. When you look at this man, it's clear he's thinking about himself. First of all, for him, with the soundness of his brain, to even, that's why I am saying with no fear of contradiction that he is corrupted. He's not even being led by the Spirit of God. For him to stand beside the green, red, yellow 1 star, he's already telling the people of Bafut where he was born that he's a traitor. And because Ambe knew that he's already on the path of treachery, he started telling us that we are the ones calling our own people blackleg. He was a blackleg. So he was setting the ground to emotionally blackmail us. Ambe, we caught you. Ambazonia, some of them will be seeing you today. We saw you before you started. So for those of you who are watching us on social media, please share it. Share it. We have about 30 minutes that will be intense. There will be an intense discussion, and you have to be a part of it. So keep sharing and keep telling somebody that we have something to talk to you about this evening. I will have a break with the video of our belle Nzonga. Listen to it.
Alors, vous étiez en 92, avant la pub, hein, ça coule sur la question. En 92, vous êtes au RDPC.
Oui.
Dites-nous la vérité aujourd'hui. Qui avait gagné l'élection de 92?
Frundi. Et qui a triché, nous?
Parmi lesquels vous?
Oui.
Donc
vous-même?
Moi, je crois que j'étais même l'instigateur. Vous savez la question qui s'est posée?
Laquelle?
On a constaté que Biya avait perdu. Et il s'est posé un véritable dilemme. Nous étions... Je peux citer les morts, mais j'ai peur que les vivants craignent. Nous étions au centre, Fauchivé, à Kamifou, à Madouali, Zemeka, Papa Achou, Achidi Achou, oui. Achidi Achou. Et j'avais dans mon équipe Zéro Mort et Henri Bandelot pour la communication. On a constaté que Biya avait perdu. Et je vous assure...
Dans tout le Cameroun ou seulement à l'ouest ou ailleurs? Au nord-ouest.
Il avait perdu partout. Il avait perdu partout.
Sur le plan général?
Sur le plan général. Dans tout cas, Frundi avait gagné. Alors, il s'est posé un véritable problème. Et c'était là où la conscience de chacun était appelée. Est-ce qu'on va laisser Frundi gouverner ce pays? Première question à tout le monde. Non. On ne peut pas laisser Frundi. Qu'est-ce qu'on fait? On change au profit de Bouba Bello, d'Adamou Damjoya ou de Kindi. Parce que les trois sont potables. On accepte. Mais lui, non. Moi, en tant que fils du péciste, j'étais le numéro 1 non. Pourquoi? J'ai vécu dans ma tendre enfance comment on a massacré les jeunes soldats dans l'UPC. Les chefs avaient des astuces. Ils prenaient les cartouches de chevrotine, ils ouvraient et ils enlevaient les plombs. Il ne restait dedans que la poudre. Et ils chargeaient dans le fusil. Et ils faisaient des simagrées et ils disaient à Ougar, tirez sur moi. Et on tirait, boum. Il dit, vous voyez, rien ne se passe. Et il donnait ce truc aux gens que fumez. Dès que vous voyez les militaires, n'ayez pas peur. Le gars allait et on les faisait tomber comme des mouches. Quand quelqu'un arrive dans un pays en détresse et vous dit comme seul programme qu'il est magicien d'un shootam à Kacham, il dit que il est invulnérable. Et sa popularité a commencé à l'Ouest parce que l'Ouest a dit Biala est tellement fort qu'il n'y a qu'un sorcier pour le renverser. Voilà, tout le monde dit le sorcier c'est Frundi. Or, j'avais déjà dans mon intervention pour les décrire dire que le Cameroun n'est pas un laboratoire où chaque apprenti sorcier va venir tenter ses expériences. Donc, il était question de faire que ce soit quelqu'un d'autre qui gagne. Mais on a expérimenté quelque chose. On est allé voir les trois que je viens de citer. Et on a dit à chacun que Frundi vient de gagner. Qu'est-ce qu'on fait? Ils ont dit non. On ne peut pas jeter le pays dans l'eau. Ça serait grave. Et je vous dirais que ce que vous avez découvert au soir de sa vie a commencé dès ce moment-là. L'achat de conscience. Donc les autres, tous, ils sont vivants. Non, il y a Adamou qui est mort. On dit que non. Vraiment, donner à Biya. Donner à Biya. Donc si ce soir-là...
Est-ce qu'aujourd'hui vous n'avez pas peur de faire des révélations comme celle-là?
Non, j'ai pas peur parce que ça veut dire que...
Parce que là vous avez trahi en 92.
Non, je ne trahis pas. L'histoire s'écrit. Il faudra un jour qu'on écrive. Parce que les gars racontent des histoires. On n'a jamais... c'était même un secret de polichinelle. Tout le monde sait qu'on avait perdu. Tout le monde sait également que l'opposition a gagné les législatives dans la même année 92 et qu'ils ont vendu. Donc ce n'est pas tout ça là. Il faut comprendre quand vous parliez de l'opposition, quand un enfant attrape une panthère, il croit que c'est un chat, il peut le laisser partir. Moi j'étais au RDPC quand l'opposition a gagné l'Assemblée nationale. Mais à notre grande surprise, chacun d'eux venait la nuit pour négocier avec nous. Donc on s'est aperçu que ils ne sont même pas conscients qu'ils ont pris le pays. On a négocié.
Ah, d'accord. Albert Zonga ce matin, c'est vraiment chaud, Marie-Flora Massana.
Très chaud avec des déclarations également. Même si moi, j'aurais souhaité lui poser la question, il avait déjà commencé à le dire, parlant des élections de 92.
Donc, moi, j'aimerais arrêter ça parce que ça va. Nous n'avons pas besoin de vous écouter. Vous avez très bien expliqué cet après-midi à tout le monde, à tous les Camerounais, comment les élections au Cameroun se passent. And that is what President Sako calls electioneering. French Cameroon's electioneering, just to let you know, is an illegal activity in Ambazonia. Before we get to that, let's begin with Pastor Abe. We came on Pastor Ambe and some Christians in Douala called me last year. I'm like, why do you talk about pastor like that? And I took out time and I lectured them. I said, I have seen this before. You're going to see where Ambe is going. Ambe is not honest, first of all, with his facts. And it's not long. We now understand the objective of Pastor Ambe's sabotage. Barisafru, talk to us.
Paddy, thank you very much. Do you know that I know this Pastor Ambe? He has been a tenant in my house in Douala. You know, I lived in Bonabere. This guy got into Douala as a Pentecostal pastor, poor and wretched, but proved that he could pay rents. I gave him my house. And when he couldn't pay, when it came time that he couldn't pay, he took 3 months of my rent and ran away with it. This man, he went, I don't know where he went, but he was still hovering around in Douala, and I didn't have time to run after scallywags like this. Let me say this about Ambe. Ambe is a very dishonest, very, very, very vicious young man. He calls himself a pastor, Pentecostal pastor. Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish.
I want the world to know the president that's going. So you're saying that because normally Christianity stipulates that if you are owing somebody and you can't pay, when you have the money you are supposed to pay. So you are saying that I may run away with 3 months rent and until today that we
from my house. Yes, and he hung around Douala, and I don't know how he fell into the hands of Diongote, and Diongote sponsored him, paid media prime to expose this guy so that he can prepare this guy for greater things. And this guy, as soon as he got on that media prime, he started manipulating, started trying to show people that he was really a pastor, preaching. He was building up to the extent that he started throwing the Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia under the bus by claiming that this Anglophone crisis is the Northwest against every person. He is following the footsteps of one other young man, another barefoot man. He was called Franklin. I knew Franklin was in Christian Youth Fellowship in Bonabere, where I was a Christian. And he left the Christian Youth Fellowship to go and form a church and build a mammoth church around going towards Bikoko, and gathered all the witches and wizards of Bamileke extraction, and that church became a mega church. And what did he do? He used the money from that church and became a presidential candidate of 2018. What happened? He was admitted into the court and kept down, and he died. This Ambe has not learned a lesson. He has not learned a lesson that when you enter this kind of La Republique circles at this level, he is already in the court. To get to this level of being a presidential candidate, he is already in the court. And he will end up like Franklin. That's my prediction. I am not God, but I'll know that when you are in a cult or Nyongo or whatever they call it, Pamla or whatever they call it, the cult that the Cameroon government lives by. All ministers, everybody is in that cult in order to survive. This guy has entered that court because when he started talking against the Southern Cameroon Ambazonia, I knew that there was something cooking. It has finally materialized. It has finally materialized into his candidature. He will end up like Franklin. Just watch.
We said it. Now there's a very important issue that it's clear that the Bulos, the Burmese, the French Cameroonians put together cannot allow these people to become president. We've heard about
exactly, Paddy. If they don't put you down, yes.
Yeah. But the question I want you to address is why is Cameroon constantly engineering voices of Southern Cameroons to partake in an election that they know is not an election, it's a selection?
I will answer you.
What are they trying to achieve within the Cameroons and internationally?
What they are trying to do is they think that when they involve young people of Southern Cameroon extraction, they are saying that they are part and parcel of Cameroon and that there is nothing like the Southern Cameroons and Ambazonia. First point. They will allow them talk against the Southern Cameroons and Ambazonia and then bring them in. This is a black leg that has been planted in the Southern Cameroon's discourse by Dion Gote. Dion Gote was the principal financier of Media Prime. And that's why this guy was always on Media Prime to make sure that he gets himself to the level where he can become a presidential candidate and get into their midst. But this guy is not smart enough. He's a very dull man. He doesn't know that they have set him and he is going to fall into the court. And he will end up just like the others. Frundi actually won the election of 1992. And you heard that idiot called Zonga. You heard what he said. Everything he said there is true. Everything he said there is true. And how can La Republique of Cameroon justify the fact that we are part of them? If somebody wins election clean and clear, like Frundi did in 92, and you prevented him from taking power just because he's an Anglophone, you claim that he say a catcher, a trapper. That is total rubbish. It never happened. Frundi never said that. It's a fabrication of Zongang to justify what he said. But most of what he said is true. So an Anglophone can never be a president of Cameroon, except Cameroon now on its knee now, they are looking to place a prominent Anglophone at the head of the CPDM to freak election and win and become the head of state in order to pacify us, to change the narrative of what we are going through right now. They think they can change the narrative. They will not, because you can take even Paddy King and make him a president of Cameroon. We will not budge.
God forbid. Why are you trying to sacrifice me? Why are you trying to put me?
Oh no! I'm just giving them. Listen now, I'm giving them.
The same engineering from the Prime Ministry. Some of you are aware of that. Contacted me 2023 to establish something, and the pay was very high. So
yes,
the first calculation in my mind is, if I had to take that offer, why did I even leave Cameroon in the first place? Because I was not hungry. I could have just ate my friends are doing and be touring the war. Then the next thing that came to my mind, if I even think of it, Ambazonians will stone me alive. So these are some of the things. So John Gute has done a very good job, because the way he approaches you, he makes you to feel like he's for Southern Cameroon. But this is what we do. You remember the rhetoric Chris Arno brought by saying, let us first of all take federation, and then after 20 years,
yes, I remember,
buy arms and then fight. That is a rhetoric from the pit of the Prime Ministry of John Gute. When I heard it, I knew it was coming from. So this is what I'm saying. Is it that these guys are not aware of the system that is in place that cannot accommodate? For those who did science, there's a time a cell in a body cannot belong to that body, and it has to get out, else the body will die. President Sako said, if there is no Ambazonia, there will be no
La Republic.
So let's not even go to that. That's too much. He is going to tell us more about that on Wednesday. I just want to announce again, for those who are watching us, we're going to be sending the publicity out officially immediately after this program. The President of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia will be addressing the nation on Wednesday and will be responding to questions. There is a French maneuver by French ambassador who is in the Cameroon, and the president is coming to respond to him directly, to send a straightforward warning to his sender and to Yaoundé, and probably to resound again for those who are owners of Elekam's card in Ambazonia. If you own, the president said something last year, if by any means, directly or indirectly, you are participating in French Cameroon's election in Ambazonia, you're positioning yourself or programming yourself as a military target. Because anything, any form of electioneering in Ambazonia, either having a La République du Cameroun Elecam card, the form, any of their offices, is illegal. But I want to talk a little bit about
electioneering.
I want you to talk extensively on that before we get to the last part of our conversation that has to do with the federal draft. It's very important. How do we position ourselves ahead of October of this election? It starts next week, the 8th of March. But before we get to that, talk to Ambazonians that are listening. Those who have been intimidated, those who have been manipulated, those who have accepted the bribe willingly, those who are trying to provoke the effort to ensure that there's no elections in Ambazonia. You need to talk to them before we move forward. Vice Chair, please.
Yes, Paddy. Dear Southern Cameroonians, Ambazonians, at the home front, all over the world, when I mean all over the world in the diaspora, from the continental United States to Asia and Europe, my dear country people, I am calling on everybody, every one of us. We are starting a countdown to our freedom. A countdown to our freedom. We are launching the federal draft.
No, before the federal draft, I'm talking about those who are planning to do elections. Let's first of all talk to
no. Okay. Before I talk about the federal draft, let me warn our people. You have heard about elections in La République du Cameroon in October 2025. We couldn't care less who are the candidates. But all we are saying is that we must enforce the ban on electioneering. No political parties are authorized in the Southern Cameroon and Ambazonia. No electioneering in Southern Cameroon and Ambazonia. No election, no campaigning, no wearing of uniforms of any political party, no singing of any political party, no holding of secret meetings concerning any political party in all of the Southern Cameroon, from Victoria to Nkambe. We have made sure that the ASA is standing by to enforce the fact that nobody should campaign or do any electioneering in the Southern Cameroon and Ambazonia. And if you do, you are calling for trouble, for not only for yourself, for your whole setup, for whoever you are meeting with, for whatever organization you belong to. We will treat you as the enemy. No electioneering, no voting, no registration for voting, no elecam. Elecam, take note. The what you call Northwest and Southwest is a no-go area for you people. You pay the price in the extreme north. You think that we are not watching? Try us. You are going to be a target. And the same thing that happened in the extreme north will happen to Elecam in both the two parts of the Southern Cameroon. That's the Southern Zone and the Northern Zone. What do you call, what you, La République du Cameroon, call Northwest and Southwest? I don't know how you came about that. But nobody should think that he will hide and vote. I am talking especially Victoria, Tico, and Boya, where you have secretly done things. Some of your chiefs, even when I met to say, oh, we support Pobia, the 93-year-old man who cannot even walk, or he can only sit on a wheelchair and be pushed around to be your candidate. That's the business of La République du Cameroon. If you want to vote for that election, leave the Southern Cameroon, cross over to the Congo, stay you there and vote and remain there. Don't come back. Because when you come back, we will know that you are back and we'll take you down. Be careful. This time around, be careful. We are very, very, very ready to shoot anybody on our way to Boya. Don't try us. No election in the Southern Cameroon come October. No electioneering from now on going forward. Because this is the time that they are preparing their campaigns and all that nonsense. Don't try it in the Southern Cameroons. I'm not a devil, but I'm telling you that the Southern Cameroon is a no-go area for any elections being organized by La République du Cameroon. That is full stop. Now I come to our people of the Southern Cameroons. Come next week, the 8th of March, we are launching the countdown to our freedom. every cabinet member, every official of the county, every official of the LGAs, you are required to draft your $1,000. We will go in 3 stages, beginning with the Savannah to Midland and to the Atlantic. 3 phases. And all of us, including anybody including all the activists who think that, who are fighting for our liberation, including even those from the home front, if you have a way to chip, even I don't care the amount. We know that you're already sacrificing, but we are not expecting much from you. But if you want to chip something, we will gladly find a way to get it. But this time around, it is serious. I also want to bring it to focus that anybody who is of the Southern Cameroon extraction and is a citizen of Ambazonia who has not been participating in this liberation struggle, you will participate when we are in Boya, and you will do it by force. You will do it by force because Tico cannot drink and Kumba drunk. That is the way it has to go. It has to be. Liberation struggles is not. We are not the first to go through liberation struggle. Everybody of that citizenship must participate. We are going to draft, and those young people living in the United States who have been ignoring the draft, or eating and drinking from circuit to circuit from circuit to circuit, and you are here and we are protecting you, fighting for you to get TPS and so on, so that you are not deported. If you don't draft, the day of reckoning will come when we will take back our country, and you will have to come as a citizen of Ambazonia to visit your parents. You will have to pay by force. I thank you, Paddy.
The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is the draft. We stand at the threshold of an existential struggle, a pivotal juncture in our proud history that brooks no failure, tolerates no hesitation. So we will draft incessantly, individually, within the warm, vibrant tapestries of our communities. We will draft. We must draft. Draft, for in this paramount task, our draft lies the power to liberate Ambazonia.
So, you're welcome back. You just mentioned something the president mentioned a few days ago, and I think we have to talk about it. But even before we talk about it, I want somebody to listen to what the president said and see a leader. The president is the only leader who has thought about this and is doing something about it. He is every day and every night raising money to do something about this. Though you don't like him, but he's thinking that you need to have safety in America. And you're making some money in America, and you're not donating anything. Let's listen to the president, Mr. Fu, and we'll definitely talk on that before we conclude this.
Fellow Ambazonians, and they talk for all people the way come from Ambazonia, they didn't inside America now, and they not get paper. The one that with the day for borders, for enter America, where they never enter. This message they come for una through the presidency for the government of Southern Cameroon's Ambazonia. So I want to assure una say, make una no worry, but something that they wanna get for Sabia. And I say right now, as we talk, the government of America, they try for look through the thing the way the other government be doing. So shake no day. If you be say you there for inside America, where you be get your temporary protective status, or you know be don't get her, because it don't be extended to June. So let me say, if you dey here, you never apply for your temporary protected status, so you don't already enter for inside country. If you still apply, and one thing be say, you get for be very sure say they're not gonna move you as far as you come out for Ambazonia. But we will get problem with people the way they say they come out for Cameroon, and they come out, they lie say they be Ambazonians, and the day here they enjoy the temporary protected status. We will make sure say that mistake, they correct the American, this government correct that mistake. Now, if you dey for here, where you never get your temporary protected status, if it's still apply temporary protected status, or if you know say you will be qualified for even ask for asylum, you still get right for apply for asylum. They never stop granting asylum. If I say make your application be on file, and they will surely send you acknowledgement receipt. That acknowledgement receipt to go keep you, as a legal person for America, or you go straight for the temporary protected status, where it still be guaranteed up to June, because they never cancel it. But if you did for that side for border where you never enter, and because they don't close the border, Mexico don't send soldier them for borders, America don't send soldier them. That means say they don't tell na same one remain for that side for Mexico till further notice. Just stay for the no worry. If you know say true, you be Ambazonian, and we know you for this government. No worry. If you did for that side, no worry. Just be for the die hard before they vote. People the way they feel pray, just continue for pray, because we the work on the ground. We'll be silent for media, but it not because we the work. We try for do everything for say make we protect our people. We will make sure say we be understood. We will make sure say we also work for make sure say by that June, where they go to extend this temporary protected status for our people, they not get for include people the way they come out for La Republic. Anywhere within La Republic, where they not come out from Southern Cameroon, where they not be Ambazonians. Because we know from the beginning, say this temporary protected status, this TPS, it will be primarily now for people. The people them like as usual, Republicans, they don't jump, come here, talk all like them. They claim the TOA be in our own. We will make sure say under this government, that one is stopped. That one will stop. Now, if you be say you be Ambazonian, you find yourself for that kind of situation where you need help. You don't know what for do. You don't know what for how for go about what we get for do. My advice for you now say contact your local government chairman or your county chair or any executive where you see them for ABC all time, where you know say this one people them for this government. Contact the person so that it will help you forget your local government on your county chair. Now that county chair and the local government go contact we for the presidency. They'll contact we for inside the presidency so that we go see what we will do. If nothing will fit help for now. But I want to assure all Ambazonians in America and at home, say we there for the matter, for make sure say Ambazonians, they don't suffer for any way where we get the power for doing. So me wanna just sit down quiet and continue for pray, because for this window we'll get them. Now we are time for freedom. Now you don't reach so. So the message that was say make you pass this message across. If you get anybody where you there for that difficult situation, may you know what you for do now, and make you know say with the work. Even people them way they be there for different program the way they be the wait. So when they be don't even buy tickets for different part of the world. Program they do they be there for bring people them for here for America, but they don't stop them temporarily. Make una no worry any place on a day. Me wanna just tie heart, because with the work, with the do what we will get for do for make sure say wanna not remain for that place on a day. God bless you. Pass this message across until freedom comes. All right.
Happy new month, oh, happy oh, happy new month, oh, happy oh. Ambazonia, we wish you a happy new month, oh, happy oh. Happy new month, oh, happy, wishing you a happy new month, oh, happy oh, happy new month, oh, happy oh. Okay, the song too sweet. If I continue for long, it will take a lot of time. So, dear comrades, happy new month of March 2023. I say this with a lot of joy because I sense in my spirit that this is a fresh beginning for Ambazonia, a renewed anointing with a fresh impetus. So we're coming full force to do what true patriots do. So we are going to be talking and doing. You know of General Talk and Do. He's a man of actions and of few words. So this is the month to prove who we are, who we say that we are. So talking without actions is nothing. Prayers too, without actions, is void. So this is the time for us to prove that we are in this struggle for what it is, that we really want to go to Buea. And for those of us in the diaspora, this is all we need to do to show that we are in the fight. Our ASAs have sacrificed their lives, and they are still doing that on the front, on the home front. We're here. Our own part is to be financial warriors, and support them in every way that we can, emotionally, psychologically, physically, financially, and in any other wise. So, dear patriots, this is the time to act. No more talking. No more toxicity. We've had enough. There's been 4 months of rambling, and this is the time to move forward. We need to get to Buea. Let us get this journey faster. Let's not slow it down for ourselves. So, to go to the point, I want to first of all thank everyone who made it to the APP meeting yesterday. Secretary Steve, your Cafe Day Up, and your team. It was a wonderful meeting, very productive. So, let us prove that we are in this together and that we really are behind our president, who has been tirelessly working for over the years, sacrificing all that we know to make sure he stands and leads us in the right direction. So please, to cut a long story short, do your the basic civic requirement, which is to draft. The draft is going to be launched next week, Saturday, as we heard from our SOS for Defense and Resource Mobilization, the feisty, no-nonsense Masira. She has told you guys you can start drafting now. And in fact, why not do that? Let us mobilize in in every tier or arm of government, wherever we are, mobilize people in our counties to start drafting so that on that day, Masira is just probably going to be reading out the names of those who've already paid, and we are going to have a short, juicy, and very interesting draft. We have heard from her and her team that the new system this time around, we don't need to spend 5 hours. Ambazonians, we need to be effective. So we have the payment platforms. We want to see those receipts start dropping now. Don't wait till next week. So Savannah is hosting. Savannah Zone is hosting. That simply means that they will be managing, the show, but everybody from any zone is welcome to start drafting. This is a federal draft. Remember, it goes into your personal account. So it is under your name. It is not under your county. So I want to thank you once again for standing the cause, staying the cause. Let us rally behind our president, rally behind our government, and do what is right. Do the needful, and especially remind and reassure our ASAs that we shall never fail them, despite the distractions. Until the coup plotters and the detractors, the conscious ones or the unconsciously infiltrated ones, you've got a chance to turn back. But intellectual dishonesty is when you know the truth and you act as if it didn't exist. If you have repented, or if you want to repent, or if you want to join the bandwagon again, do the needful, be humble, and come back with humility. Don't come and try to flip the script. Doesn't work. Ambazonians are too smart. I think Honorable Constance said something yesterday, we shall not be fooled, or something like that. It made a lot of sense. So people, Ambazonia belongs to all of us, but let's be honest to our consciences, let's be honest to ourselves and our God, and do what is right. So thank you. See you next week, Saturday, in a week's time, the 8th of March, 2025, on our usual platform. And please draft, fund the ABC, fund your counties, be active in your counties, participate, don't be anti-revolutionary, don't discourage people from drafting. In fact, do the opposite. Go and recruit more people to come and draft. Get one new person who has never drafted to do that. That would be mobilizing, that would be respecting our ASAs who are actually doing the ultimate sacrifice. Okay, let's not push this too long. I think it's getting too long. Thank you. See.
Good one there.
I could see you giving the buzz when she was saying, "Happy New Month, oh, happy." I could hear you giving baseline at the back. So, Ambazonians, as you can see, the ambience for the draft, it's very important. It's something we do with our cultures, our traditions, our emotions. It's our life. Right now, as the people of Ambazonia, we either live or we disappear. And there is a clear plan to disappear us. If you don't want to draft for the vision of President Sako, what will you do? Tell me, what else is happening in Ambazonia apart from what this government is doing? Ambassador Fruit, to conclude, talk to us how strategic it is for us to begin with Savannah. Because talk and do, you heard Dr. Yaya saying there, talk and do is not just a title. This man has proven beyond every reasonable doubt that Ambazonians need to give him the respect that he deserves. And the president is not just, the president would have started in Midland, he would have started with Atlantic, but he thought that at this time, preparing us, first of all, for two things. The first 100 days, that is urgent, it should start today. And then to tell Cameroon that Ambazonia does not belong to them in the month of October. The work starts today. That's where we're concluding, and I think you should talk to us, Barrister Fu.
Yes, Paddy, thank you very much. General Tokando is the military governor of Bui. He has liberated Bui.
Yes.
There is no there's no doubt about that. The guy has delivered Bui. And I'm hoping that my only bro will deliver Ngokutunya. And this draft now, the president calls it the countdown. The countdown to our liberation struggle. We are drafting this year like never before. And I'm calling on everybody to put that in his mind. And there is no other person, there's nobody, there's no other group that is engaged in this liberation struggle than the government. The government of the Southern Cameroon Ambazonia is right on the driver's seat, and there is nobody, all these splinter groups are playing the Republic game. They are there for their own personal interests. They are not there to deliver everybody, to deliver us. No. You can see Milamatam and Chris Anu and others meeting to form their federation, their federal and unitary movement that is against the liberation of the Southern Cameroons. That is a clear message. Every Southern Cameroonian who believes in his sovereignty, in the liberation of his territory, and in his country that was before 1961, please come on board. I'm calling on all the young people living in the United States who you are here, you don't even know the work that we're doing to protect you right here in the United States. You are only walking and drinking in circuits and dancing all over the place, watching football and laughing at us. Oh, that one I think. That thing that you people are doing. The time is now. If you don't take part in the liberation struggle, you will probably do it by force. I'm telling you this, unless, even if I die, there are other lawyers that will replace me. Because how do you think that others will work all their life every year since 2020, since 2019? They have been drafting drafting and drafting. They started with my trip to Boya, which Ayuk Tabe and his gang embezzled. But then they continued the drafting in 2020, drafting up to today. And you are just watching. And the fight is on the ground. Who do you think is financing the war? We have not taken any money from any organization. We have not mortgaged any part of our territory. Where do you think the money is coming from for us to fund this struggle on the ground to defend our people from being annihilated by the Republic of Cameroon? You have seen how our people have been killed, the genocide everywhere, and you are there. You can only talk about Southern Cameroon, but you cannot give a penny. The time will come that you will be forced to give. Unless you don't want our citizenship. That is also okay. Stay where you are. But know that if you are in this country now without paper, the Southern Cameroon government is protecting you. They will make sure that you don't have nothing bad happens to you until we have our liberation and we'll go home together. Come on board and draft. Those of you in Squeeze, today is Saturday. I know that you are beginning to drink all over the Squeeze in this Maryland and all the other states, all the other 49 states, and you don't think that Southern Cameroon is to be liberated by all of us.
But just a quick one. Have you visited any of the Squeeze? Because you seem to have a good knowledge on who visits and how they visit.
No, I don't go to Squeeze, but I know that they exist. And I have had talk. Listen, buddy, I've had a talk with young people, young Southern Cameroonians who are here.
I understand. Now I'm just pulling your leg. So just
fast forward. I'm trying to let them know. I'm trying to let them know that drinking is not. I'm not against your drinking and enjoying yourself, but for heaven's sake, take part in the liberation of your country. That is what I'm saying.
We are making the conversation this evening brief because the president, I like to remind you all again that the president of the Federal Republic of Ambazonia will be addressing the nation on Wednesday. He will definitely be taking questions. We're going to send out the flyers right after this show. He will be taking questions. I'm not sure if he wants to take live questions. So once we send the publicity, go right under it and just put the questions you like the president to respond to. That will help us to formulate some of the questions that will answer some of your worries. So it's important. Get ready Wednesday, 8 p.m. Ambazonian time. We will be having the president to grace us with updates. It's been the 10th month, and he wants to talk to us. Ambassador Fru, I think we will not play justice to you if we do allow this show to end without asking aspirant President Ambe to come and pay your house rent. That's very important.
But it's more than 6 years that it happened. So I had written that. I had written that up.
No, he cannot be running for an election. He has to pay that money because you need to give to this crowd.
But
we are saying that you're owing the house rent of Barrister Iso. It is, first of all, not a Christian behavior that you have not taught for 6 years. That this money was, that's a debt you have to pay. Number two, you are running as president. And we know that just registering, you have money. Just registering to participate so that you can do Cameroon's propaganda. I know how much they pay you guys. So we also know that you are a contractor of John Gute. So you are not broke. You are not broke now. You look really healthy. You look healthy. So you have to pay Barrister Fru's debt without any
let me say something. Let me say something concerning concerning the French ambassador's visit to Bamenda.
No, I think that we should leave that.
I'm not discussing it. I just want to make an observation.
Yeah.
My observation is that the French are beginning to read the handwriting on the wall, and they are panicking. They are panicking, and they are trying to establish what the Quebecois type of thing, so that we can still remain part of the Southern Cameroon. Part of La Republic of Cameroon, so that they can continue to exploit our mineral resources from our territory. I want to tell them that they will not work. Let them panic. The president will elaborate. Thank you very much.
And for all those in Bafut who are thinking that because it is a brother that's going in for an election, they want to vote. You heard the advice of Barrister Afro, please pay your transport and go to Yaoundé Odouala. Don't plan to do that in Ambazonia. Be advised and be warned. So Ambazonians, it's been an interesting afternoon or evening with you all. We'll be calling it a day, and we'll get ready to receive the president on Wednesday. There was so much for us to talk about. We had to just make it shorter this weekend. So that
thank you very much.
We'll make it. I will be there. I'm honored. I'm always very privileged. I'm not the best. That many of you, I'm just representing your voice. I'm honored.
Maybe I work, but I'll put on my earphones and listen.
You can't afford to miss Wednesday. It's not possible. It's not possible for anybody to afford to miss Wednesday. So while we look forward to Wednesday, remember to get ready for the federal government draft that starts now. Until next time, it's been Tapa the King. Good night.
The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is the draft. We stand at the threshold of an existential struggle, a pivotal juncture in our proud history that brooks no failure, tolerates no hesitation. So we will draft incessantly, individually, within the warm, vibrant tapestries of our communities. We will draft. We must draft. Draft, for in this paramount task, our draft, lies the power to liberate Ambazonia. The number one most important thing for every Ambazonian to do right now is the draft. We stand at the threshold of an existential struggle, a pivotal juncture in our proud history that brooks no failure, tolerates no hesitation. So we will draft incessantly, individually, within the warm, vibrant tapestries of our communities. We will draft. We must draft. Draft, for in this paramount task, our draft, lies the power to liberate Ambazonia.